Mom, I'm back. Human soldier reunites the Alpha Queen with her lost daughter. The Northlands were a place where stories walked beside reality. Snow covered the ground like an endless white sea, and the wind spoke in low, ancient voices. People believed the land itself remembered every promise ever broken and every life ever lost. At the heart of this frozen world stood a black stone fortress, tall and unyielding. This was the seat of the Alpha Queen. Queen Lysera ruled from a throne carved from dark rock and old battles. She was feared across kingdoms. Some called her a monster, others a goddess. Her eyes were sharp like winter stars, and her presence alone could silence a room. Wolves bowed their heads when she passed. Warriors trembled, even those who had never seen her before. She carried ancient power in her blood, a power passed down through generations of Alpha rulers. Yet behind her strength lived a deep silence. Pay. 15 years ago, her only daughter had vanished. No victory, no conquest, no curse broken had ever filled that empty space. Lysera had searched through war, through magic, through forbidden paths. When hope finally died, something colder replaced it. The queen became harder, more distant, more dangerous. The Northlands survived because she ruled with iron control, but they also suffered beneath her grief. Far from the fortress, on the southern borders, a human army marched through broken ground. Among them was Cale Arden, a soldier who had learned not to expect mercy from the world. He was not young, but not old either. His face carried the marks of long battles and longer nights. He followed orders because that was easier than remembering why he had first picked up a sword. The mission was simple. Clear the border villages where strange activity had been reported. The Northlands were dangerous, and anything unnatural was treated as a threat.
That was when Cale found her.
She stood alone near a ruined tower, wearing torn clothes and looking completely lost. She did not carry a weapon. Her hair was dark, tangled by wind and snow. When Cale approached, she did not run. She only looked at him with eyes that caught the light strangely. Silver, like moonlight on ice. "Don't come closer," Cale warned, raising his sword. She tilted her head, confused. "I don't know where I am," she said softly. Her voice was calm, but something about it felt old.
"I've been walking for days. Cale had seen fear many times."
P had seen lies too. This felt like neither. His men urged him to bind her, to treat her as a danger. But Cale hesitated. Bess. The air around her felt heavy, almost alive. And when she looked at him again, she whispered words that made no sense to her, but struck him deeply.
"Mom, I'm back!"
He didn't know why he chose to protect her. Maybe it was the way she looked at the frozen land, like it was both home and enemy. Maybe it was the quiet strength beneath her confusion. Or maybe Cale was simply tired of following orders that led to blood. He took her with him, not as a prisoner, but as someone under his watch. Her name, she said, was Ariel, or at least she thought it was. First, her memories were broken. She remembered running, hiding, a woman's voice calling her name in pain and love. She remembered wolves and fire and snow, but nothing clear. As they traveled north, strange things began to happen. Wolves followed them at a distance, silent and watchful. Storms rose without warning. Ariel's emotions seemed to affect the land itself. When she was afraid, the wind screamed. When she was calm, the snow settled. Kael realized the truth before he wanted to accept it. She was not human. Beck. When they finally reached the edge of the Northlands, Kael ordered his men to stay back. He would take her alone. Every instinct told him this was the point of no return. The fortress appeared through the storm like a shadow pulled from legend. Horns sounded, gates opened. Warriors surrounded them, their eyes glowing faintly with alpha magic. Kael felt small for the first time in years. He was dragged before the throne. Queen Lysara stood slowly as Ariel entered the hall. The room grew quiet, as if even the walls were listening. Lysara's gaze locked onto the girl, and something ancient broke open inside her. The power she had buried surged forward.
Her breath caught. Her control slipped.
Ariel stepped past Kael, drawn by a force she could not name. She looked at the queen, tears forming without reason. Pay. Her heart pounded painfully. Lysara's knees nearly gave way. The court froze. Bah. No one dared speak. The Alpha Queen reached out with shaking hands, her fierce mask shattered. Barish. Years of rage and silence collapsed into a single moment.
My daughter, Lysara, breathed.
Kael watched as the most feared ruler in the Northlands fell to her knees, holding the girl like she might disappear again. Power rippled through the room, wild and uncontrolled. But not everyone bowed. The elders of the court exchanged dark looks. Old magic stirred uneasily. The past had returned, and with it, long-buried secrets. Kael realized then that bringing Ariel home had not ended a story. It had begun one far more dangerous than war. And somewhere deep beneath the fortress, something ancient awakened, whispering that no reunion comes without a price. The throne room was silent after the reunion. Lysara still held Ariel close, as if the years of separation could be erased by the warmth of a single embrace. The court watched in uneasy awe. Warriors, advisors, and ancient seers, all had come to witness the moment that would change the Northlands forever. Basket. Yet the silence was fragile, and danger lingered in the shadows. Kael stood a little behind them, his hand resting on the hilt of his sword.
Though the queen did not see him as a threat, he felt the weight of the court's eyes on him.
He had brought Ariel here, against orders, and every instinct told him that the Alpha Queen's forgiveness would not come easily. But he could not leave her alone. Not now! Ariel's silver eyes blinked rapidly as fragments of memories returned. Breath. Faces. Fires burning in the dark. Wolves howling in the snow. She remembered running, hiding, and the mother who had whispered a name she could barely pronounce. She remembered fear, and she remembered love. Bay. But the pieces did not fit neatly. Her heart ached with confusion. Kael, she whispered, barely audible. Who am I? Kael crouched slightly to meet her gaze. You're safe now, he said gently. That's all that matters. For now. Lysara, still holding Ariel, finally straightened. Her voice was low, and it carried the authority of storms. Ariel, she said, you do not yet understand what has happened in your absence. You have returned, but the world you knew has changed. And so have I. Ariel looked at her mother, searching the stern face that had ruled kingdoms and tamed wild beasts. I remember pieces, she said, but not everything. I don't know why I was gone, or why I remember nothing. The queen's eyes glimmered with sadness, and something harder, sharper. First, you were hidden, child, protected, and cursed. Kale's hand tightened on his sword, though he did not move. He had seen curses before, dark, cruel, deadly. But something in Lysara's tone warned him that this was not a simple spell. This was old magic, deep and dangerous, the kind that could destroy both the body and the mind. The curse, Lysara began, was placed to protect you, to keep you safe from forces that would destroy this realm and your bloodline. But it came at a cost. Your memories, your freedom, were taken from you. Ariel's silver eyes widened. My freedom? My life? The part of it, Lysara said, her voice softened slightly. Psst. You were hidden, yes, but not forgotten. And now the magic that kept you safe is awakening pain.
It will not be gentle. Kyle stepped forward, his voice firm.
Queen Lysara, I brought her here. I will not abandon her now. Whatever this curse is, we will face it together.
Lysara turned her gaze on him.
For the first time, Kale saw hesitation in her eyes. She studied him as if measuring his worth, his loyalty, and his courage all at once. Then she nodded slightly. Very well. But know this, Kale Arden. The path ahead is not forgiving. One false step, and everything you value may be lost. Even life itself. Kael did not flinch. He had faced death many times, but there was something about the Alpha Queen that made him feel smaller than he had ever felt in battle. Ariel took a shaky step closer to her mother. I begged. I want to remember. I want to know everything.
Please. Lysara studied her for a long moment, then finally spoke.
If you wish to reclaim your memories, you must face the curse fully. That is not a journey for the weak, Ariel. It will challenge your mind, your body, and your heart, and it will test the bonds you hold with those who protect you, including Kale. The young woman's eyes filled with determination. I'm not weak, she said softly, yet firmly. Kale placed a hand gently on her shoulder. You are stronger than you realize. But strength alone will not be enough. Trust me, and trust your mother. That is the only way forward. The Queen's court murmured among themselves. Best. Some looked fearful, others suspicious. Magic like this had not appeared in generations, and the presence of Ariel, a human soldier, and the Queen herself made them uneasy, perilous. Old alliances shifted subtly in the room. Kale noticed eyes darting, whispers spreading, and realized that the challenge would not only come from the curse itself, but from the people surrounding them. Lysara finally rose, her expression hardening once more. You will be trained, she declared. Your powers will awaken fully, and you will need to learn control. There are enemies who seek the destruction of this bloodline. Enemies who will stop at nothing. You will not face them as a child. You must be ready. Ariel felt a surge of fear, but also of hope. This was the first time someone had spoken to her, not as a helpless girl, but as a force to be reckoned with.
Training begins at dawn, the Queen continued.
Kyle Arden will remain with you. He may guide you, though he is not a mage nor a warrior of this realm. Ration. He is human. You must accept him, as he has accepted you. Bear. Ariel looked at Kale. She nodded. I will. Kale nodded back, feeling the weight of responsibility settle even deeper on his shoulders. The bond between them was no longer one of soldier and stranger. It had shifted to protector and charge, guide and pupil, perhaps even something deeper. He would not let anything harm her. That night, Ariel could not sleep bed. Memories surfaced in fragments, like shards of ice cutting into her mind. Faces she could not name, voices she could not recall fully, and the ever-present feeling that someone or something was watching her. She shivered, though the fire burned bright in her chamber. Kale sat outside her door, his presence quiet but protective. Breath. He had fought many battles, yet the uncertainty of what was coming was unlike any he had ever faced. He wondered how a human like him could survive in a world ruled by beings like Lysara, creatures who could bend the snow and the wolves to their will. But he also knew he could not turn back. Not now. Not ever. Buh. The next morning, the training began. Ariel discovered that she could call the winds, though only in small bursts. Snow lifted gently around her hands, and the wolves outside the fortress howled in acknowledgement. Bear. She could feel her strength growing, but with it came pain. Each attempt left her exhausted, her head spinning with memories she could not fully grasp. Lysara trained her with both rigor and care. The Queen's methods were harsh, demanding control and discipline. Yet beneath the steel was a mother's worry. Power without control will destroy you, she warned. You must master yourself first, or the world will master you instead. Kale assisted, helping Ariel focus on her human instincts. Magic can overwhelm, he said. Your mind can betray you. Breathe. Trust yourself. Together, the three of them formed a fragile balance. The Queen's authority, Ariel's awakening power, and Kale's steady presence created a dynamic none of them fully understood yet. But each felt the pull of something stronger, a destiny waiting to be fulfilled, one that could either restore the Northlands or tear them apart entirely. Then, the first sign of danger appeared. The night was quiet, except for the distant howl of wolves and the whisper of the wind. Ariel stood at the edge of the forest near the fortress, testing her abilities. Bah! She lifted her hands, feeling the cold swirl around her, shaping snow into small figures. Kale watched, ready to intervene when a shadow moved unnaturally among the trees. It was fast, almost too fast to see. Ariel froze. The wolves growled low. The shadow advanced, revealing itself as a figure cloaked in darkness. Its eyes glimmered red in the moonlight. Kyle stepped in front of Ariel! Stay behind me, he said. But the figure did not move like a normal enemy. It was as if the darkness itself had shape, hunger, and intention. Ariel felt a strange pull toward it, a whisper of memory in her mind she could not understand. Kale, she said, fear and longing mingled in her voice. I know it. Before Kale could react, the figure vanished, leaving only the echo of a whisper. The past cannot be hidden forever. She looked at Kale and Lysara, fear and determination warring in her gaze. The curse. It's stronger than I thought, she said. Lysara's expression darkened. But yes, she said.
And it will test every part of you.
But That is the only way you will survive what is coming.
Kale clenched his fists.
Breaths. Then we face it. Together. Psst. The queen's gaze softened for just a moment, and Ariel felt a spark of hope. But the shadow's warning lingered. The past, it seemed, was not done with them yet, and somewhere deep in the Northlands ancient magic stirred, ready to awaken fully, bringing secrets, danger, and truths that would shake them all. The Northlands had grown darker. Storm clouds hung low over the black fortress, and the wind carried the scent of danger across the frozen land. Wolves prowled the edges of the forest, restless, sensing a power stirring beyond their understanding. Within the walls of the fortress, Ariel's training had become more than simple lessons. It was a test of heart, mind, and spirit. Each day she practiced with her mother, Lysara, learning to control her strength and her magic. Each night she trained with Kale, learning human strategy, patience, and endurance. The balance of power and vulnerability weighed on her. Psst. She could feel the whispers of the curse, growing louder with every passing hour, pulling at her mind and body. But the hardest challenge came from within. Ariel's heart was divided. She loved her mother, the fierce alpha queen who had sacrificed everything to protect her. She trusted Kale, the human who had risked his life to bring her home, and who had stood by her when the world had seemed too cruel to face. And yet, in her mind, questions burned like fire. Why had she been hidden? Who had cursed her? And what did the shadow from the forest want? Lysara noticed her daughter's inner turmoil. Ariel, she said one morning as the snow swirled outside the fortress walls. Strength is not only power, it is also courage. Courage to face the truth, no matter how frightening.
I want to be strong, Ariel said.
Her hands trembled as she raised them to shape the snow. The magic, it feels alive, like it has its own will. Kale stepped forward, placing a hand gently on her shoulder. You can, he said. You've already survived more than most ever could, and you won't face this alone.
We're with you. Lysara studied him silently.
The queen's eyes, sharp and commanding, softened just slightly as they met Kael's. She realized something she had never admitted aloud. Loyalty, courage, and love could come from unexpected places. Even a human soldier could make a difference in the fate of the Northlands.
Days passed, and Ariel's control over her powers grew.
Beth. She could summon gusts of wind, shape snow into figures that moved and obeyed her, and even communicate silently with the wolves that roamed the lands. Yet each night, the shadow returned in her dreams. It whispered in a voice both familiar and strange, stirring memories she could not fully recall.
One night, Kale and Ariel were patrolling near the edge of the forest.
The wind howled around them, carrying the scent of snow and magic. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, dark, fast, and silent. Its red eyes gleamed in the moonlight, and its presence made the air itself feel heavier. Kale moved instinctively to protect Ariel. "Stay behind me!" he shouted, drawing his sword. But Ariel did not step back. She felt something she could not explain. A part of her remembered the figure, though she could not name it.
Her silver eyes glowed faintly as she raised her hands.
Oh! That's snow lifted from the ground, swirling around her like a storm. The figure hesitated. It seemed to recognize the power in her, yet it did not retreat. It spoke in a whisper that echoed in her mind. The past is not done with you.
You cannot hide from what you are. Ariel's heart pounded.
She knew the words were meant to frighten her, but they also carried a strange familiarity. Who? What are you? She asked aloud, her voice shaking. The shadow vanished as quickly as it had appeared, leaving only silence and the faint echo of the warning. Ariel sank to her knees, overwhelmed by the emotions surging inside her. Desperate, Cale knelt beside her. "It's all right," he said softly. Whatever it is, we'll face it. Together." Ariel looked up at him, and for the first time, she felt a warmth that had been missing for years. Kyle's presence grounded her. His courage, his patience, his steady belief in her. It reminded her that she was not alone. The next day, Lysera summoned Ariel to the throne room. The queen's expression was serious, her posture commanding, but her eyes carried the weight of a mother's worry. "The shadow you encountered is not a simple enemy," she said. "It is a manifestation of the curse. It knows the truths you do not yet remember. It will test your strength, your courage, and your heart." Ariel nodded, determination settling over her like armor. "Then I will face it," she said. "I want to remember everything. I want to understand who I am." Lysara studied her for a long moment. "Very well," she said finally. "But know this. The curse will not only challenge you, it will challenge those who love you. Cale will be tested. I will be tested. And when the time comes, you may be forced to make choices that will change us all." Cale placed a hand on Ariel's shoulder, a silent promise that he would not leave her. "Whatever comes," he said, "we face it together." The days that followed were filled with training, preparation, and quiet moments of reflection. Ariel's powers grew stronger, but so did the whispers of the curse. Memories returned in fragments. Faces, voices, events from her childhood. Each piece brought joy and pain. She remembered the warmth of her mother's embrace, the laughter of wolves in the forest, and the terror of being taken away. But she also remembered the betrayal and the fear that had marked her life. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Ariel stood on the fortress balcony, watching the snow fall. Cale joined her silently, standing close but giving her space. "It's beautiful," he said softly. Ariel nodded, her eyes distant. "Yes," she said, "but it feels empty."
Like something is missing, even though I'm here. Kyle looked at her, understanding more than words could express.
"Sometimes the missing pieces are the hardest to find," he said. "But you're not alone. You have me. You have your mother. Birth.
And you have your own strength. That is enough."
Best." Before Ariel could respond, the wind shifted violently. Snow whipped around them, forming into shapes that seemed alive. The wolves in the distance howled, sensing the presence of powerful magic. Ariel felt a surge of energy within her, stronger than anything before. The shadow from the forest returned, this time clearer, more defined. Its red eyes glowed with intensity, and its form seemed to stretch and twist with the wind. Cale moved to protect her, but Ariel stepped forward. "Wait," she said. I can feel it. I can reach it." The shadow spoke again, its voice echoing in her mind. "The past cannot be hidden. The truth will be revealed, but the cost will be high." Ariel closed her eyes, focusing on the memories and the magic within her. The snow and wind obeyed her, forming a barrier between her and the shadow. Best. She felt the curse's power, dangerous and overwhelming, but also familiar, as if it had always been a part of her. Lysara appeared behind them, her presence commanding yet protective.
Ariel, she said firmly, remember control. Do not let fear rule you.
The magic is yours to command, but it is also yours to respect. Ariel nodded, drawing strength from her mother's words. She reached deep within herself, calling forth the power that had been dormant for so long. The wind and snow swirled violently, forming shapes that reflected her memories. A child running through forests, a mother calling her name, wolves circling protectively. The shadow hesitated, then vanished into the night, leaving only the whisper. The past is not finished. The path ahead will demand everything you are. Ariel sank to her knees, exhausted but determined. Kale helped her to her feet, and Lysara placed a hand on her shoulder, proud and wary at the same time.
You have taken the first step, the queen said.
But many more will follow, and the choices you make will shape the fate of this realm.
For the first time, Ariel understood the weight of her bloodline, the responsibilities of her power, and the depth of the love that surrounded her. The past had returned, challenging her at every turn, but she was no longer a lost child. She was a force in her own right. The Northlands had grown colder, and the shadows had grown stronger, but Ariel, Kale, and Lysara stood ready, bound by family, loyalty, and the unbreakable ties of love.
The Northlands had never been more restless.
Bats. Dark clouds rolled over the mountains, carrying the chill of storms yet to come. Wolves circled the edges of the forests, their eyes bright with anticipation. Within the fortress, the tension was nearly unbearable. Ariel stood at the balcony, looking out over the lands that had been her mother's and, now, her own to protect. Her training had grown more intense each day. Her magic was stronger than ever, and she could summon wind, snow, and even shape the creatures of the wild. But the shadow that haunted her in dreams was no longer alone.
Dark forces stirred in the world beyond the Northlands, drawn by her bloodline and the power that had awakened within her.
Kale stood beside her, silent but steady. His presence was a reminder that she was not alone. Though he was human and lacked her magical power, his courage, his strategy, and his unwavering loyalty made him invaluable. They had survived the shadow, the awakening of her powers, and the trials of her mother's training.
Yet the greatest test had not come from enemies outside. It had been within. Lysara entered quietly, her heavy cloak brushing the floor.
But her eyes, sharp as ever, held both pride and worry.
Ariel, she said, her voice low, the time has come to face the curse fully.
Its source has awakened in the northern mountains. If we do not act, it will spread and consume everything. And this time, there will be no second chance.
Ariel turned to her mother.
I am ready, she said firmly. I will face it. Whatever it is, I will not let it take me, or this land. Lysara studied her daughter for a long moment. Very well, she said. But know this, you may be forced to make a choice that will change everything. Magic alone will not win this battle. Heart, courage, and sacrifice will be needed.
Kael placed a hand on Ariel's shoulder. Whatever happens, he said, we face it together. The journey to the northern mountains was harsh.
Snowstorms struck without warning, and the air was thin and bitter. Wolves followed them silently, protective and alert. Ariel's magic guided them, forming paths through the blizzards and warning them of dangers invisible to the human eye. When they finally reached the mountains, the source of the curse revealed itself. A great stone formation rose from the ground, black as night, pulsing with dark energy. The air felt alive, heavy, and suffocating. Shadows moved across the surface, as if the mountains themselves had been corrupted.
Ariel stepped forward.
This is the curse, she whispered. Lysara nodded. Best, yes, it has waited for you. Bay. It feeds on fear, anger, and doubt. And it will demand a price.
You must be ready to give everything. The shadow emerged first, larger and more terrifying than before.
Brett. Eyes glowed in the darkness, and a voice echoed inside their minds. The past cannot be erased. Blood must be paid for blood. Power must bow to none. Ariel raised her hands, silver light shimmering from her palms. I am not afraid, she said. Her voice carried the confidence she had gained through months of training and trials.
And I will not bow. Not to fear, not to darkness, not to the curse.
The shadow struck, and the ground trembled. Snow and ice erupted around them as Ariel's magic collided with the dark force. Yes. Kale fought alongside her, defending her when the shadows tried to strike her from behind. Lysara added her power, commanding the wolves and the wind, creating a barrier of strength and protection. The battle was fierce. The curse tested every part of them, body, mind, and heart. Ariel's memories surged, some painful, some joyful. Faces of loved ones, moments lost, and the fear of never finding them again all threatened to overwhelm her. She felt herself faltering.
Remember who you are, Kale shouted over the roar of wind and snow. Your strength is more than magic. Your heart is your power. Lysara's voice joined his. We are with you.
Do not let the past control you. Ariel closed her eyes and reached deep inside. She called on everything she had learned, the discipline her mother had taught her, the strategy Kale had shown her, and the courage she had discovered within herself. Light erupted from her, pure and bright, cutting through the darkness. The shadow screamed, twisting and shifting. Bess. You cannot win, it shouted. You are nothing without fear. Without pain! You are wrong, Ariel said, her voice steady and strong. I am not nothing. I am my mother's daughter. I am my own person. And I am not afraid. With a final surge of energy, Ariel unleashed her full power. Blight and wind tore through the darkness, shattering it into fragments. The curse screamed one last time and then vanished, leaving only silence, snow, and the faint echo of its warning.
The past is not finished.
But the future is yours to claim. Brace. Ariel collapsed, exhausted, and Kale rushed to her side. Lysara followed, gathering her daughter in her arms. The queen's eyes glimmered with tears, both relief and pride shining through her stern features. You have done it, she whispered. You have faced what no one else could. Ariel looked up at her mother, smiling weakly. I couldn't have done it without you. Or Kale. Kale shook his head. No. You did this. I only helped.
You are stronger than you know. The journey back to the fortress was quiet, but filled with a new sense of hope.
The curse was gone, or at least defeated for now.
Ariel's powers were fully awakened, controlled, and balanced with her courage and heart.
She had faced the darkness within herself and had emerged stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever.
Back in the fortress, Lysara addressed her court.
Breath. Her voice was firm yet softer than usual.
The curse has been defeated, she said. But we must remain vigilant. This land is ours to protect, and it is the duty of every person here to stand together. Ariel has returned, and with her, a new era begins. One of strength, compassion, and unity. Bed. The court murmured, some in awe, some in fear, and some in hope. But everyone understood the truth. The queen's daughter had returned, and the Northlands would never be the same.
That night, Ariel, Kale, and Lysara stood together on the balcony, looking out over the land.
Snow fell gently, and the wind carried a sense of peace. The wolves howled in the distance. A sound of approval and protection. Begged. Kale looked at Ariel. You've done more than survive, he said. You've changed this world, Ariel smiled, leaning slightly against him. And I couldn't have done it without you, or Mom.
Lysara wrapped an arm around both of them. We are stronger together, she said softly.
This is only the beginning. But whatever comes, we will face it. As a family. But for the first time in many years, the fortress felt warm, alive with hope rather than fear.
The queen, her daughter, and the soldier who had risked everything had forged a bond that no curse, no enemy, and no darkness could break.
And as the Northlands slept beneath the quiet snowfall, the future stretched out before them, filled with promise, courage, and the unbreakable ties of love. The shadow may have whispered that the past was not finished, but Ariel, Kale, and Lysara knew one thing for certain. The future was theirs to claim.